Good evening. You are listening to Bold Moves Radio. The show is Prudent Woman with myself, Rhulani Baloyi. You are all welcome this evening. And we'd like to thank all of you who made it to the Abigail Arise conference over the weekend. I trust that you had a great time. I had a great time. I'm arising, as the conference theme was Abigail Arise. I trust that you are rising, those who made it, those who could not make it. I believe you can catch up on our Facebook page and our YouTube page, Bold Moves Radio. You can all go back and watch what took place. And even those of you who were part of the conference, you are welcome to go back. Let us refresh our minds. You know, at times when something is presented for the first time, you do not have an opportunity to get to know or understand everything that was said. I trust that you had a wonderful time. We are here today, Prudent Woman. We continue with our show, and I believe the Abigails are here. As we continue today, we continue with one of the speakers of the Abigail Arise conference, that is Dr. Mkateko. She will also be joining us. I look forward to having all those Abigails who were part of the conference, who never had an opportunity to ask her questions. Tonight is your opportunity to ask her questions. So today we're going to our topic. It's emotional eating disorders, as I indicated last week. Something that the Gen Zs call binge eating. We are going to be talking about our eating habits. With me, I have Sesimandla Mabunda and Dr. Mkateko Mabunda. They are going to be taking us through. Dr. Mkateko Mabunda is our psychologist. Sesimandla Mabunda, she's our dietitian. I look forward to having a great time with you, Dr. I see Dr. Mkateko is still struggling a bit because she was part of the conference. She had to drive down to Gauteng, but I'm sure she will be joining us as we continue. Sesimandla, can we, I believe she's coming. Let us just start so that we don't keep the ladies waiting. I know when we talk eating disorders, it's mainly what dietitians know better. They are the ones who have all the information in terms of our eating, what type of food we're supposed to eat. But of course, our psychologists are there to assist us to overcome all these emotional challenges or emotional luggages that we're carrying that makes some of us to find ourselves binge eating. But I would like us to start, Sesimandla, even as we wait for Dr. Mkateko. I'm sure she'll be joining us as we continue. I heard that the N1 was pegged, so probably that's what has kept her, but she'll be joining us. We did speak before we went on air. So tonight, Sesimandla, can you greet our audience?
Thank you so much, Rhulani, for the warm welcome. My name is Mandla Mabunda, and I am a dietitian, and I'm looking forward to us discussing and exchanging ideas and empowering each other around the topic of emotional eating disorders. This is one of the topics that affects a lot of women, and we're hoping that together with the Prudent women will empower each other so that whenever it happens, we are aware of it and we are able to overcome it. So thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm also excited, Sesimandla. I'm just worried I don't see our psychologist. But, you know, as we wait for her to come in, just take us through, Sesimandla, as a dietitian. You know, I do not want us to take it for granted that all of us, including myself, that I know why a person has to eat. Because at times, as an individual, I think I must eat so that I get the taste. But I know scientists have got a reason why a human being must eat on a daily basis and how often. So if at this point in time, whilst we're waiting for our psychologist to come in, if you can take us through why should a person be eating food?
Thank you, Sesi. In simple terms, we eat so that we can live. We eat so that our body can have energy. to perform all the daily functions that we need to do as human beings. I mean, breathing requires energy. Talking requires energy. I mean, we see because of some of the nutrients that we get from the food that we eat. So we eat so that we can live in a simple answer. What we are trying to move towards now is that we do not live to eat, but rather we eat so that we can live.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we do not live to eat, but
Yes.
we eat so that we can live, which says to me, my body needs a food for it to continue. And over the weekend, we were taught as the Abigails that, Abigail's husband was called Nabal. And for us as the organization, when we say we are the Abigails, we're not saying we as the women who are married, or it's only the Abigails who are married who can become Abigails, but we're saying Nabal can be any situation that stands before you, any challenging situation that you have as a human being. So in this show, Abigails and all the ladies who are listening, we are here to attack or to deal with the Nabal, the situation that stands between us and our progress, between us and us moving or arising to become what God has called us to be. So we are going to be talking about why, Sis Mandla, do we, and I know it's not only between ladies, I know it happens with men as well, but I've seen it common with women. When I'm down, I tend to want to eat a lot of things. Why is it that as a human being, when you have something that is not satisfactory in another area, you find yourself wanting to just eat and not, now you start to live to eat, not eating to live?
Okay, this answer will be more understandable to the ladies who attended the Abigail's conference. I was not there physically, but I was actually following the whole conference online. And one thing we have learned during the conference is that we have the tripartite alliance, which is the soul, the body, and the spirit. Now, if one of the parties that are there, part of the alliance, is not okay, it affects everything else. Now, when you are not emotionally right, sometimes it affects some of the bodily functions, including hunger. And so what happens is that when an area, let's say your soul, which houses the mind and your emotions that we learned, is not okay, sometimes your body will alert you via you craving for certain types of food items. Remember when I said we are what we are eating to live? Part of what you get from eating healthy nutrients is that those release of feel-good hormones that Dr. Ndala was teaching us about, the dopamine and the serotonin and oxytocin, all those things are results of the food or the vitamins or the nutrients that we get from healthy eating. Now, when you are feeling down and you're in a stressful situation, your body says, I want to feel good because it's uncomfortable, right? So one of the ways that will help you to feel good is to do what? Crave for food, which has one of those brain functions which releases feel-good hormones. That is why you find that when you are emotionally down or you are stressed or even when you are angry, you will most likely feel like going to the fridge to grab something to eat. And trust me, you are not going to grab an apple or a fruit or a vegetable. In most cases, you are going to grab like a chocolate, sweets and cakes and all those things, which are not healthy alternatives. So this is why we are here today. We are saying, yes, emotional situations will arise, but we need to be aware of why are we having that. If we know why I'm stressed and why I'm craving for food, you're most likely to now reach out and eat something that is less likely to make you feel bad afterwards, because those are the consequences of emotional eating. They are coupled with guilt after that. You are coupled with shame. And if you were on a healthy eating pattern or a diet, if I may put it that way, you fall out. The minute you fall out, you're like, these things do not work. I'm just going to leave it. And then you beat yourself, and it's sort of a vicious cycle that happens all the time. But with this topic, now you will be aware, because we cannot say you'll never feel down. You will feel down. It's life. But when you're feeling down, what actions are you going to take? That's what we call mindfulness. So that's what we'll go into later on. Yes.
And that is the reason, as a prudent woman, we say one should always be ready. You must have all this knowledge so that you know how to respond. Because when those emotions come, if you are aware that there is something like this, what they call emotional eating disorders, you are able to manage it. You cannot manage something when you do not know about its existence. I'm excited. Dr. Mkateko has finally managed to come in. Welcome, Doctor. I trust that you had a safe journey back to Gauteng. Can you greet our audience?
Thank you. Hi, everyone, to the audience. Thank you so much for having us, Prudent Women. And I'd like to greet my sister and my fellow health worker. And thank you so much. And the people have to listen, especially to the dietitian. Miss Mabunda, I know that we are both health workers, but in this instance, I promise you it will do us a lot of good to listen to more of what she is saying about our nutrition.
Thank you. Maybe I should declare to our listeners and viewers that my guests today are sisters, are biological sisters. It's a blessing. And I would like to say thank you to the Mabunda family for having such wonderful, prudent women that you have released to be with us today. And we are excited. I promise you, our listeners and our viewers, you're going to be learning a lot, Yes, Dr. Mkateko is just humble. She has got a powerful story to tell. And over the weekend, she has transformed us. You talk the young people, they are transformed. You talk the elderly, we are transformed through her message. I know we will never remain the same. Doctor, we had started the show because we felt we were not getting you online, but we are grateful you are here. We were still starting. We've just started. You did not miss much. But as a psychologist, maybe you can just tell us, we were talking on emotions. Why do we find ourselves eating? Because we feel down. What is it that as a person, what drives you? What makes you want to eat when you are feeling down with your emotions or something is not going your way?
Okay. So it's just that today in this platform, we are mentioning just a symptom or a manifestation of something that is not right with a person, either emotionally, psychologically, or genetically. So yes. What happens is that there are many factors that lead us to overeat. So overeating, when it comes to us as psychologists, it is just a negative coping mechanism of a bigger problem. So the problem is actually not even the stress itself. The problem is not even the overeating or the undereating itself. It is just a symptom that is deeper, that is showing us something that is deeper, which is wrong. So it's not necessarily it's a disorder, but it comes about as a disorder of the emotions, of the mind, and of even the socialization that we've had in our childhood. So for instance, when we were growing up, parents would normally say, you are not finishing your plate, you must finish, because Somalia, they don't have enough to eat. So that kind of guilt, now it's a psychological thing, it's an emotional blackmail, and it is also socialization. It is training you to finish a plate of food even if you are full. So that's why we are where we are today. But it started from as deep as what I had just explained.
Oh, so I'm guilty as charged, because when we dish for our children, you do not know, but you gauge according to what you believe should fill your child. So are you saying, doctor, it is wrong for me to force my child to finish food because I've dished for it?
It's not necessarily wrong. There should be a balance. There is a certain age where kids do not feel like eating. They don't like food. For instance, they don't like certain foods. They don't like your fruits. They don't like vegetables. They only want to eat your foods which are not good for them, like the dietitian has explained. Your sugar, because it quickly fills them up and gives them the energy that they need, but it is not good for them. So you need to find a balance. You need to know that when your child is in a healthy state, what portion of food do they eat? And then you stick to that. You need to know that when they are not feeling well, when they are sick, what kind of food, what portion of food do they eat? And then balance that out with the normal eating or the normal portions that you normally dish out for them.
Oh, no, that is so enlightening. I never saw it that way. And I trust that even our viewers and listeners, that's how you also feel. You are welcome to drop in your comments, your questions that you have to our psychologist and our dietitian as we move along with our discussion. Sesimandla, Dr. Mukateko is talking about eating so that you fill up your tummy. But I ask myself, is there such a thing as overeating? Can we say someone has overeaten? And how should one say, I feel like I've overeaten? Is it when you feel discomfort, or are there signs that you as dietitians, once you feel like this, you have overeaten?
Thank you, Ceci. The answer to that is there's no straightforward answer. The best thing is for you to go to a healthcare professional. What we do when you come to us is we calculate the required number of kilojoules or energy intake that you need for your age, your height, your weight, because all these factors come into play. And then once we have calculated that, then we tell you, for you, let's say, for example, when you come to me and we calculate that you need 1,000 kilojoules per day. Now, my role is to calculate for you a balanced diet that will give you that range of kilojoules. Now, what happens is if you don't have that number, there are standard energy levels per age, per height, and then per gender, then you are able to fit yourself in there. Other than that, remember when we initially first spoke, I mentioned the issue of the best way to measure the amount of food you need is to look at the size of your stomach. The size of your stomach actually determines the capacity that your body is able to handle is this much. So now the portion control sizes will also tell you, okay, this is how much you need to eat. The feeling that you get when you have overeaten, you do feel like you have a distended stomach. So you do feel you have overeaten, you feel full. And sometimes you even feel nauseous. So you feel like you want to throw up. Those are the signs that will tell you that you have overeaten. Another one is a sign of feeling sleepiness. So if you feel sleepy after eating, more especially if you check yourself after lunch, where we tend to carbo load, where we eat more carbohydrates in our lunch meals. And then after that, immediately you feel your energy levels, they go down and you feel like you need to sleep. That is a sign you have overeaten. Okay, so those are the signs that you can use. But in general, you need to go to a dietitian who will sit down with you, take a diet history. They will take your height, they will take your gender, they will take, your weight, and then back calculate that. And then you get specifically the amount of energy that your body will need for it to perform all the bodily functions that you need for you to now be living accordingly.
Yeah, this is so enlightening. We never visit dietitians. The only time I think for myself that one of my family members could see a dietitian is when they are in hospital, doctor. Because I think now by that time they are forced, because whoever is looking after them, treating them, they will normally refer a dietitian to take care of them. But this is enlightening. Ladies, let us start using those medical aids. Most of us have got those medical aids, but the question is, what are we using them for? It's like we wait until there's a problem before we can go and consult. So it means we should change that habit. Let us now go and consult. We get this prescription of what we don't know how much am I supposed to be eating. But I also want to indicate we had Sis Mandla previously. We had a show where she was talking about eating, and you can go back to the show. It's on our Facebook page and our YouTube page, and refresh yourself. Yes, the size of your fist, you said the size of your fist determines how much you are supposed to eat. But coming back to the topic of today, which is emotional disorders, eating disorders.
Yes.
Dr. Mkateko, when I was going through my preparations for this show, I asked myself, how should one find a balance between eating, because I'm celebrating, you see, when it's a party or yes, we eat non-stop, or it's December. We eat. We say December because there's food in the fridge. And then how should I differentiate it between eating because I'm celebrating and eating because now I have a problem? I'm trying to close some emotions that I'm avoiding to deal with. Dr. Mkateko? She's frozen. Dr. Mkateko, can you hear me? Sis Mandla, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Dr. Mkateko, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but you sometimes the network, yeah.
Okay, I was asking you what will be the difference between eating for celebration and eating because I'm avoiding to deal with an emotional problem that I have.
Okay, so the difference is the severity of the eating. So this means that the portions are either too low or they are too much. The second one would be the persistence of it. So we have to see a pattern of these happening, which is too much or too low, and this happening over a certain period of time. So for instance, we have these emotional eating disorders, or rather eating disorders. We have your anorexia, and then we have bulimia, and then we have another one, which a lot of us also don't know, which is a restrictive avoidant eating disorders. So this one particularly is to say that I do not eat a certain type of food for the fear that I will gain weight, or I will be overweight if I eat these types of food. All of these, for instance, you spoke about, is it possible for someone to overeat? So we'll talk about bulimia. It is very possible for someone to overeat. So if you are going to an event and you're overeating, the excitement can make you do that. And sometimes, yes, stress can make you crave chocolate. Like, for instance, when we're in our menstrual cycles, we can crave chocolate. When you are stressed, sometimes you can crave certain kind of foods. And the reason why we crave those foods, like, for instance, fatty foods, sugary foods, is that it gives us a certain type of satisfaction emotionally and also physically. So now these eating disorders are going, for it to become a disorder, it will depend on how low or how much and for what type or how long a period you've been doing this particular, or you've been showing this particular behavior.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor. I think we're having a challenge with a network there, but thank you. We will sort it out. Let us take an ad break. We'll be back with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Streaming 24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Boldly breaking barriers and limitations.
To Bold Moves Radio, the show is Prudent Woman. Thank you for joining us. We are back with you. Dr. Mkateko, I think your network is not static. Maybe if you switch off your video so that we see if it will be fine.
Okay.
Yes. But there's a question for you. The ladies here want to know, can insomnia open a door for certain eating disorders?
Yes, you see, anything that causes disturbance in behavior, in emotion, in your cognitive, the way that you think of yourself and others can cause that. So insomnia in itself, it is a disorder that will eventually cause another or lead to another type of disorder. So in most often than not, eating disorder co-occur with other psychiatric disorders. For instance, it's more likely to occur with a mood disorder. It can occur with anxiety disorder. It can occur with OCD, because these always involve the way that you feel about your shape, the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you think about yourself. So these things are going to lead you to try and control. You see, it's also about control as well. So if you want to feel like you have a control of the situation or your life, you will do some things so that you will feel like that. That's why I said that it is just a negative coping mechanism. So if I were to put it, I would put it together with drug abuse, with alcoholism, with then now eating disorders and many other disorders that might occur because of a deeper problem that is beyond eating. Now, the problem here is that, one, we do not sort out health services. For instance, for me, nutrition is very, very important. Nutrition in itself, if you don't have a good relationship with food or with your diet, that on its own, it can be a precedent. It can be the cause of you having psychological problems. It can cause a negative body image problem. So we need to go to, I know a lot of us, especially as Black people, we don't necessarily, consult your dietitians, but they are very, very important.
No, that is so much true. And I believe we now realize one thing. In the past month, we spoke about drug abuse, we spoke about abuse of medication. So today we are talking about abuse of food. So you can
food, exactly.
I think the guests who were here can concur with the guests today to say anything that you do in excessive, it becomes a problem. So even with food, it becomes a problem from what I'm hearing from you, our doctor and our dietitian. Sesi Mandla, our dietitian, tell me I also suffer from the same thing. You know, when I'm excited or I feel I need to celebrate, I believe I should get junk, and that's what satisfies me. What is it that makes us to be in such a state? You know, when we want to, you'll never hear anyone saying, "I'm having a birthday celebration," and they've bought a platter of fruits. But we'll have a celebration because we've got a cake and snacks and all these other things. Why is it that what makes us as human beings to attach happiness around food around junk food, let me say?
Okay, thank you, Ceci. You know, maybe let's backtrack a bit. In nutrition, we don't say there is bad or good food. What we say you can eat everything, but in moderation.
Okay.
Now, the challenge that we tend to have is that the foods that are more healthier than your junk food, what we call junk food, which I can classify sweets, chocolates. And when you look at this group of foods that is considered junk food, the basics there, it's usually sugar, and it's usually the oils or the fat. Now, the challenge with that is that those two things are like drugs. They have addictive properties. So that is why once you start having a piece of cake, you don't want to stop. You won't normally crave for an apple after eating a cake. You will crave for something either that is sweet or something that has a lot of fat in it. That is why even when you go to the takeaway shops and whatnot, you will find them selling something sweet to drink and something high in fat to go with that. That we classify as junk food. It's that those things are addictive. And like our good psychologist has said, they are quick to release the feel-good hormones.
Okay.
Now, there's nothing wrong in you once in a while going to buy yourself your favorite piece of chocolate. There is nothing wrong in that. There's nothing wrong with you having your glass of wine, having your glass of, cold drink or whatever it is that you like. The challenge becomes when you are now replacing your healthy food with that junk. Now, if you go to a party and you know why you are eating, you will know that, okay, if I have this piece of cake, then I know that, okay, I'm just satisfying my craving for sweet things. But because I'm eating to live, I'm not just going to have 4 pieces of cake. So this is what this is about. You just learn how to be mindful in you eating your food, but it will be highly, 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 highly unfortunate or even unrealistic of me to tell people never to eat a piece of chocolate. So we don't do that. We say, just be mindful of what you are eating. And the best thing is to understand the components of the food that you're eating. So you look at an apple, for example, and you put a piece of chocolate here. You say, okay, what am I getting from these 2 foods? So you highlight the vitamins that you are getting and the minerals that you are getting and how they help you to live in an apple, and you look at the ingredients that are there in your piece of chocolate. Now you weigh the options. So this is what mindful eating is about. Mindful eating, you being aware of why you are eating certain foods at a particular time, and that will also restrict your portion sizes.
Yes. And it's so good to hear you saying, as dietitians, you don't tell us to stop eating certain things, but it's about the moderation. I'm sure, Mina, for me, I'm going to a dietitian. I was always scared. Because whenever you talk healthy eating, people will be saying you must eat vegetables. And you're not getting satisfaction from vegetables. I want my T-bone steak. So to understand that it's all about portions, not about you staying away from certain things. It's encouraging. You're giving us hope. Some of us, yes, we have not yet diagnosed ourselves to that understanding, but you tend to feel, hey, no, if I go to a dietitian, they will tell me you must never eat this and this and this. So it's encouraging to understand that what's important is the portion sizes and how
Yes.
and to be mindful. What is it that you are eating? But I'm just asking myself, being here, to say, then how do I now know that I've got an eating disorder? What are the signs that one can take note of to say, now you need to work on yourself? There's binge eating here.
Okay, so thank you for that. And maybe before I come to that, remember when we started, I mentioned the issue of we are now eating to live, but we are not living to eat. And when I'm saying that, I'm not referring to weight loss, because that is the misconception that other people also have. We are not talking about you losing weight. Losing weight is just part of the byproduct of someone maintaining a healthy diet, but it's not the end goal. The end goal is that you are healthy enough so that you are productive in your daily life, so that when you get sick, you are able to recover quickly, so that the vitamins and minerals are able to help you control some of the conditions that come with aging, for example, so that you are able to respond to life stress. That is why we eat to live. We're not only eating so we can lose weight. So that is that thing. And then number two, how do you see that now you have a challenge? Okay, Sesam Kateko mentioned the issue of frequency. So the more times you find yourself going back to that same habit, for example, whenever you are angry, you need to go to the fridge and you grab a cup of Coke for you to calm down. Whenever you are sad, you need to go to a retail outlet to buy yourself some fast food. So there's a pattern that you need to have followed. That is why we advise all our people that come to us that keep a diet journal. In that journal, it will tell you, okay, whenever you are stressed, you always have a piece of chocolate by your bedside. The more note of that, you will see the trend. And once you see that after seven recordings, this is your reaction to stress, then you start being aware, maybe I have an issue. And then another thing that will show you that you have an eating disorder, it's binge dieting, or this vicious cycle of dieting. You diet and after 2 weeks you have lost weight, and then some stressful situation happens, and then you go back, you find yourself eating what you said you were not going to eat. Like she said, restrictive dieting as well is what is causing us to have this vicious cycle of dieting weight. So you now this week is okay, you have lost a few grams, you are happy, and something happens at work, it stresses you, you go back to that pub, plate, you go and you eat that, you are filled with guilt, you are filled with shame, and you feel this thing is not happening, you give up, and then someone empowers you, then you go back. It becomes such a vicious cycle. So what you need to do is to observe the trend that you have, especially with you eating your meals and your emotional state. That will indicate to you, maybe I have a problem. And if you do that, and avoid issues of now going to these two common eating disorders, that is anorexia and bulimia. Because with anorexia, but it's honor, they simply starve themselves, and you can't do that because you need food to live. And then bulimics, on the other hand, they wait for a stress or a trigger and then you overeat, you pile up on this food, and then once the reaction, when guilt and shame comes and overcomes you, you go to the toilet and you deliver, and then it all comes out. That becomes a very, very bad cycle, and this eating habits now go on and on forever.
From your side, Dr. Mkateko, what will you say the brain has, the role that the brain has towards this type of disorders?
Well, it does change. I think Sis Mandla has already outlined most of it. It's actually the same as what she has just explained. So it's a vicious cycle, like she has said. The bad eating habits themselves can lead to what? They can lead to the disorders, the eating disorders, and eventually lead to behavioral and cognitive disorders. So now that is the brain now being affected. The brain itself and the mind. You remember Dr. Ndala said that there's the mind and then the brain. So now, here's how the brain gets affected. So the body in itself needs certain types of food. So if you are either anaerobic or bulimic, you are overeating a certain type of food, which the body is, for instance, certain hormones or chemicals are excreted by the body when they receive a certain kind of food. So if you're only eating those kind of foods, then it becomes what? Too much, right? And then if you are now anaerobic, you become starved, and the brain does not now receive those nutrients that it needs to function properly. Now, the mind itself, because you are going up and down, you are, they vomit or they even use laxatives so that those things can come out. Then you become what? Stressed. And because those things in themselves cause you physical conditions like your acid reflux, the ulcer, the migraine, you become fatigued, the breathing, the respiratory systems becomes distressed. Because of all those things now, when you are now starting to have those symptoms, the mind becomes what? Psychologically distressed. And then when you become psychologically distressed, you do what? Like Sis Mandla said, you go now to buy the junk food, because that is the what you have taught your mind and your brain and your body that if you want to feel better about yourself or your situation, this is what you need to do. And then you do that, and then the shame and the blame comes, you go back. So you see, I'd like to say, the vicious cycle.
Oh, I see now that this topic is huge and we needed more time because we just left with 13 minutes, and I see our viewers have got such a lot of questions, and I see a question on blood types. There was a time it was on fashion. You needed to know your blood type, not for any other reason, but for eating. What can you say around blood types and the type of food that one should eat?
Hello, Ceci. If I can answer that one. So I think we need to understand the basics of gaining weight and losing weight, like I have explained before. So gaining weight, it means you are eating more energy than your body requires. Remember, everything that we eat, right? Everything that we eat gets digested. After digestion, it all goes into a pool, a glucose pool. So now, when you want to lose weight, it means you need to to reduce the amount of energy that you are currently eating. And you need to increase the amount of energy that you're currently burning. Now, let's come to all the diets that are there. And these lot of questions, I can see them on Facebook. They are based on one thing. The weight loss industry is a very big industry. Mara, let's look. All the diets that we have ever been on, they focus on more or less 2 or 3 things. Number one, they focus on cutting down on the portion sizes. Yes. You will be told to cut down on your portion sizes. That's number one. Number two, they will cut down on a particular nutrients of your diet, which eventually it's cutting down on the amount of energy that you are going to eat. So if tomorrow I can come to you and say, cut down on all starch, guess what? You are going to lose weight because you are cutting down on the amount of energy that you are eating. It's not the starch that is making you gain weight. It's the overall energy that you are putting in your body. And all these diets, in most cases, they will say they work well with high energy exercise, or you need to exercise 30 minutes a day. So in other words, we are using different things that are just simply telling you to control your portion sizes that you eat. And sometimes I will say, remove everything and only eat eggs. I say, remove everything and only eat cabbage soup. And I say, okay, take your blood level, blood O will tell you don't eat red meat, and blood O whatever will tell you not eat chicken. All those things, all they are trying to tell you is to decrease the amount of energy that you put in your mouth. Meaning anything, as long as you can eat, like the people in the modeling industry, they live on some of them live on slabs of chocolate, but because they're only eating 1 slab of chocolate per day, they are not gaining weight. But us as prudent women are not about that. Prudent women must understand, for you to eat, to live, you need 4 food groups in your diet. You need carbohydrates because you need energy. Energy, even your brain uses carbohydrates for you to be able to think. You need protein for you to be able to build your muscles and recover after illnesses. You need vitamins and minerals for any other function that your body needs. For example, to see, to walk, to even give birth, you need, some sort of vitamins. And then you need fats and oils for you to have insulation in your body. All these things encompasses healthy living. Let us move away from wanting the quick way out by following all these of diets, because these are the reasons why we are going back to emotional eating. They are not sustainable, and the minute you falter or you don't follow, you become shameful, you become guilt-ridden, and becomes that vicious circle again. Let's reset. Dr. Ndala taught us about liking our mind. Let's like our body. Let's like our body and understand how our body works. And the simple thing is that energy that you put in should be equal to the energy that you put out. But it's not all sorts of energy that you want to put into your body. You want the good or the healthy type of energy, which you will get from those 4 food groups that I'm telling you. It's not sustainable for you to cut out starch forever. It's not sustainable for you to cut out protein forever. It's not sustainable for you to cut fats and oils forever, because there is a bodily function that only functions because of that nutrient.
Yes. Today I'm actually realizing that it's so true. When the word of God says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because what you are telling us, it basically simplifies everything. I see our viewers, we are talking on diets, blood groups, but what I'm getting from you, it's about me visiting a dietitian knowing what my body needs to live. I don't eat to live. I don't live to eat, but I eat to live, isn't it? So what's important is for me to go to a dietitian, understand what my body needs, the portion sizes, and be able to eat everything that the Lord has given us.
Yes.
Not about these diets and all these things, because what I'm getting is the reason some of us probably were suffering because of the very diets that we've embarked on.
Yes.
Because we have ourselves for 2 days, and after the third day, I go all out, I binge.
Yes.
And some of us, we binge in hiding, in the middle of the night when no one is seeing you, because you feel they can't see me that I've fallen from my diet. And in return, it takes us to that area where we are not able to feed our souls. We do not love our souls, because I believe eating is linked to the healthiness of my soul. Because when I eat healthy, I will become healthy. So, ladies, I trust we are learning. It's simple. You don't need the diet. You don't need Mr. Google to tell you what to eat. All you need is to know the quantity that you are supposed to eat. And again, what I'm getting, says Mandla, it's very important to keep record of what you are doing. I think, ladies, you'll agree. It's similar to exactly what last week Dr. Mhlari was telling us about, to say you must keep a record. You must know what medication you've been taking so that you can be able to say, I'm taking too much. So all we need, prudent women, it's knowledge and information. Let us empower ourselves to know what is it that we need to do to look after ourselves. And this leads me to one thing that I know most of us have a problem with. When you talk diets, we always, most of us believe a diet should be for the person who's thin, quantities, let me say the amount of food that you are taking, it's only for those who are big. Their body build, they are big. But if you are small, you can eat any quantity. that to me takes me to something that I saw they talking about body image disorders. What will you like to tell us about these body image disorders? What is it and how does it affect us? Because I know in most cases, I always feel pity. I say, the thin ones, some of them are the most unhealthy people, because they do not have anything that shows outside that the inside something is happening. At least the big ones, as they eat, there's something that shows, then they are cautioned.
Yes, again, I think, we will need another session, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of unlearning that we have to do. Healthy is not equals to thin.
Yes.
If you look at the BMI, I know most of the prudent women know about BMI, where you take your weight and you divide it by your height squared. It gives you a number. That number is 18.5 to about 24.9, somewhere there. Now, it's a range. It's a range that shows how at risk you are of contracting those lifestyle-related diseases like your diabetes, your high blood pressure, your fatigue, all those kind of high cholesterol. Now, weight loss, like I said, loko uluza weight, it just keeps you at a low BMI, and it means you are at a reduced risk of contracting those sicknesses. Now, equating thinness to being healthy, it's the most dangerous thing you can do, because then it means mafamba borile. a person is healthy because they are thin, but when they come to us, there are a number of markers that we look at. We look at your skin as well. Your skin says a lot. We look at your nails. Your nails tell a story. When you don't have the white dot or you have the white dot, look at the ridges on your nails. When your nails are too soft or facing up, they tell a story. That has nothing to do with your body size. There are people who are genetically fit, but firm. They have more protein. When you look at them than fat, when you look at them, you might think they are not healthy or they are fat. So let us not use weight as a measure of health. Let us look at how prone a person is to getting all those lifestyle-related diseases. And the only way you can make sure that you are healthy is if you maintain a sustainable, healthy diet that gives you all the nutrients that you need, that your body needs for it to be healthy. Healthy meaning that you're productive, you have energy, you are able to fight diseases when you get sick, you are able to recover, you are able to also support all the bodily functions like seeing, like hearing, like doing all things, using the nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that you get from the food that you eat. So that is why now we need to move away from associating weight ya mono to what? To health. Because some are born genetically big. A big bone structure, but you need to go to a health professional who will tell you after taking a diet history where you fall into. Body image, yes, it's just it's just a marketing store. Weight loss industry is one of the most richest industries in the world because of how we are emotional creatures as women. So people are able to easily manipulate us and make you feel like you are not enough of a woman because you're not that thin, you're not wearing a 32, you're not doing that. We should just have a session where we detox from all these things and we look at the basic facts, and then we will see that we've been taken for granted.
Advantage of, yes, yeah. We've run out of time. And as I indicated, I see that this topic is big. It has got a lot of information that we needed from you ladies. And I'm tempted to say, Sis Mandla, you need to come back as a dietitian. There's a lot of questions that I'm getting here. And I've run out of time. We did not manage to go into them. So I think we will talk. We have to have another meeting. We'll keep you posted, our viewers and our listeners, on what will come in, when will she come back. But I promise you, we need her back here. We need her to come tell us what does she see on our nails, because some of these things, when you have the knowledge, you are able to diagnose yourself. But I'm happy because I see most of the comments, ladies, gentlemen are agreeing to say they now realize the importance of a dietitian. So says you've done justice today, because all along we did not know. We thought the dietitian, you see them when you're at the doctor, when you're sick. We did not know that you are supposed to visit a dietitian. So you have done justice to a profession. And this is what we call saving your people, because you have come out to give us knowledge so that we can be able to go out. So I invite you, prudent women, go out, get more information around dietitians. Some of the information that we're bringing to you here may not work for you because this is not advice, but it's just an eye-opener for you to be able to go out and seek for advice. I would like to request our guests to say their parting shots. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I promise you, we will come back to the topic. No, you can go. You can go.
No, Mina, can I go first because I want to refer?
Yes.
What I will say is therapy. And a lot of people are wrong in thinking that when I say therapy, I'm talking about counseling and psychology. I'm actually talking about a dietitian. From everything that we spoke about today, it's very clear that instead of reacting to these things, we need to be proactive. So honestly, if you want to have a positive mental health, then prevent. And in this case, the best way to prevent, to be proactive, just seek out the services of a dietitian and a nutritionist. Some of the problems that you take to counseling, they will be definitely prevented by doing so.
Yes. Sis Mandla?
Sesinko, all I have to say is that let us be mindful of why we are eating, number one, and let us eat to live and not live to eat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my guests. You are so wonderful. Even though I see the ladies are going to have a tough week, they're saying they're worried about their nails. Maybe if I can ask Sesmandla, just 30 seconds. I see a lot of comments about the nails. If you can just a little bit, a teaser, what is it that you see from the nails?
Okay, a quick one is that white dot that you see at the center of the nail towards the end. That shows me whether you are iron or zinc deficient or not. Simple as that.
Oh, okay. And I see my request to you to have another show. I think our viewers and our listeners are saying, please come back. There's a lot of comments saying, another session with you guys, the Mwamabundas. Please come back. We will talk and we'll inform you, our viewers. Thank you very much for joining us once more. We would like to say thank you. And we have an announcement on the 31st of July. As Bold Moves Radio, we will be launching what we call a concept we call Limpopo Gospel Divas. It's a gospel festival for the ladies, and we will give you more information next week, but it will be happening at Farm Life Gardens for the launch on the 31st, so that we can outline to you all that will be happening on that day. But for now, just keep that date for you, and we'll broadcast it, of course, on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. Thank you so much for joining us. But before we leave tonight, I just want to appreciate the guest producer that I have in-house. Tonight we have Musa Mangani. He's the one who has been the executive producer in-house because our executive producer had an emergency. And of course, we have Nyeleti Baloyi with me. So tonight I had the Gen Zs producing me. And I would like to say thank you. And I believe you enjoyed the show. See you next week, same time, same place. Have a blessed evening.
This is Bold Moves. Streaming 24/7. Boldly breaking barriers and limitations.